Hello and welcome to the End Times Revival Ministries. Thank you so much for joining us. And today I want us to begin a different series from what we have been looking in the last couple of weeks. And we will begin to look at the glory of God. And we will look at different aspects of that glory of our God. We begin with a text drawn from the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 32, verse 3 and 4, and later on I will read verse 5 to 6. Verse 3 to 4 reads as follows: For I proclaim the name of the Lord, ascribe greatness to our God. He is the rock, his work is perfect, for all his ways are justice. A God of truth and without injustice, righteous and upright is he. So this is the last sermon that Moses delivers before he dies. What is going on here is that he begins by proclaiming the name of the Lord. That's what he says in verse 3. For I proclaim the name of the Lord. But what does that exactly mean? A lot of people will make that claim that I am a minister of the gospel. I proclaim the name of the Lord. But do we actually know what that means? Moses does not leave us in the dark. He breaks that down as follows. So in other words, when I proclaim the glory or the name of God, this is what I am in essence saying. Ascribe greatness to our God. He is the rock. His work is perfect and all his ways are justice. A God of truth and without injustice, righteous and upright is he. So his name covers all of those essences. It talks about his greatness. It talks about his perfection, his justice, his holiness. And all of those come together when we proclaim the name of the Lord. And so every single occasion that we have to proclaim the name of the Lord, there is an opportunity to talk about his perfection, his holiness, his justice, and the fact that he is immovable. He does not change. I wonder how often we proclaim those attributes of God. Often we simply mention the name of the Lord in passing, not realizing that when we do so, when we mention the name of the Lord, we are proclaiming in totality his perfection. That name represents immovability, perfection, holiness, and justice, and all of these glorious transcendent attributes of God. And there is something else that we discover when Moses proclaims the name of the Lord. We read on to verse 5, it reads as follows: They have corrupted themselves, they are not his children because of their blemish, a perverse and a crooked generation. Do you thus deal with the Lord, O foolish and unwise people? Is he not your father who bought you? Has he not made you and established you? So there is a contrast here. So on one part, he proclaims the name of the Lord, which represents his transcendent attributes. And when you set your eyes on such a transcendent, glorious, perfect, just, holy God, what you see is not just God, but you see the corruption of humanity. And so these two come together here in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 32 and verse 3 to 6. When we proclaim the glory of God, we also, by essence and by nature and by definition, we proclaim the corruption of the human heart. The human heart, or human beings, are made in the image of God. And so we talk about the glory of that which has never been corrupted. And then immediately we behold the image that has been so corrupted from the original. And the proclamation of the glory of God is what every Christian has been called to make. In the next couple of weeks, we will pick up some of these issues relating to the glory of God and the image that has been so much corrupted. And yet in our times today, we are so much focused on proclaiming the goodwill, the earthly, the temporal. We do not behold that eternal, glorious presence of God. And because we don't set our eyes on that glory, we do not see our own corruption. In the entire Bible, every single person who beheld the glory of God, they beheld at the same time the corruption of the human heart. You know that in all of creation, the the guiding and the abiding anthem of the saints in heaven and the angels. It is the glory of God. The creation in the whole world proclaim the glory of God. And to his everlasting shame, man is contented with proclaiming his own glory.